Happy Friday, sunshine. I hope you're staying hydrated. Well, I have an update. My father had a successful brain surgery. What they did is they created two holes in his skull, and they literally sucked the blood out of his skull, right? And when I went to the hospital about 40 minutes ago, I was there in the morning, and then I had a very busy work day. I had to get a bunch of invoices out. We're trying to close our books for the new year, so any kind of invoice that's coming in, even if it's for February, I'm getting it out the door. So hopefully I can collect and I can use that money. So my father, I saw him a few minutes ago. He can move his hands, he can move his feet, and he still has that thing in his mouth, the breathing apparatus. His temperature is under control. I guess his diabetes is also under control. And he's a fighter. I'm telling you, he's a real fighter. My mom has a cold and she's over there. She's all bundled up. But I have to tell you something. I have such mixed feelings because I believe that if I were in similar shoes, if I were 80, a diabetic on insulin, cancer in my blood, and what's coming up next is a biopsy of his bone marrow to determine if he can start taking chemo. What else? I don't know what his brain function is going to be, but he can answer yes and no. He's alert, right? I ask myself, if I were in that situation, oh Lord, you take me, because I won't be able to walk moving forward. I don't know what the situation is with his platelets, which is connected to his blood cancer, but I see him suffering in his recovery from this latest episode. We're going on day number 9, I believe. And I think to myself, I hope to God, and I need to put this down in writing, if I get to that point in 80 years old, if I'm going to be bedridden with tubes coming out of me, no thank you. No thank you at all. And my mom is just being as brave as possible, keeping her man alive. I have to respect that, right? I have to admire that, respect it, and think to myself, this is the decision she's making as the power of attorney. And one can only say, this is their prerogative. But for me, sunshine, I'm out. I'm out. I've reached the point in my thinking that quality of life is the most important thing. I want to be able to walk, to talk, to have a situation where I'm not being pumped full of chemicals, full of medicine, and being told I can only do this, I can do that. How is that any kind of life after 80 years? I mean, the concept of being able to say yes and no and not being able to talk, or barely being able to talk, I think that's a horrible way of quality of life. I'm probably naive on this issue, but I've just come to that point. Now, some would say, well, why are you giving up on this person? Why are you surrendering a loved one's life? Well, that's not the point, in my opinion. If you were to look at it from a religious standpoint, God ultimately decides who lives and who carries on without technology. But in this case, in modern medicine, it's technology that keeps us alive. We can't be naive about that. So tomorrow, I had a really long day today, and I kept thinking about what I told you yesterday, how you realize how poor you are when you talk to a rich person. We're all rich in terms of family, health, all of that stuff. I get that. I'm good with that. But from a dollar and cents standpoint, boy, oh boy, when you hear about stuff like that, and I don't live big. I don't live high at all. In fact, I don't buy new clothes. Everything I buy is thrifted. Can't even remember the last time I spent retail on a shirt. I think the last shirt that I paid retail for was the shirt in Montana. Well, I'm now heading home. I'm going to have to wake up early tomorrow to wash clothes and then open the shop, my mom's shop, at 10 a.m. It should be a very, very busy day. To last weekend, I had my eye exam today, and it was a successful one. He said I actually had a little bit of regression, so my vision didn't get worse. It actually got slightly better, if that makes sense. And he said the lenses that I have might be a little too powerful, so he's going to pull back a little bit. I'm like, hey, better than nothing. And no cataract issues at all, thank God. I have a friend of mine who's just turned 59, and she had to have cataract surgeries in both eyes. I know it's inevitable for all of us, I presume. So that was good. Well, today I got your message. Man, oh man, that physical therapy was hardcore. I tell you, I know you're a tough cookie. That I know. And if you're saying it's hardcore, I'm sure it's brutal. Well, I hope that Rocky video and the advice that I gave you, or the suggestion I gave you about asking God to help you in 5-minute increments, helps in some way. Not much I can do from Texas, but at least I can offer you some free advice that allowed me to carry forward. I guess what also has me just flustered is that I think in this country, middle-class people, it's always been this way, I get that. If you're a middle-class small business owner, I'm telling you, between taxes, property, income, everything else, it's a hard road. I'm telling you, it is a brutal road. The concept of just staying ahead, or staying afloat, right? Let's use that word, afloat. Just staying afloat seems to be a miracle. In today's world, this is the first time I really yawn quite prominently with you, which goes to show you how tired I am. I think I'm mentally tired from seeing my father going through this horrific process. And I will call it that. It's a horrific process. And I keep thinking, dying with dignity is the way to go. I have a friend who has a cousin who passed away from stomach cancer. And this woman was basically told it's stage 4. I don't know if she was even offered any kind of treatment. Maybe she was. You know, insurance companies always love to offer treatments, or doctors do, because they can bill the hell out of you. But it was stage 4, right? And I thought, she was able to die with dignity in her home. And it was a slow process. I think it took like 10 days. But my Lord, that person was empowered to say, I'm going to leave on my terms and not be dependent on somebody else calling the shots and having me be stuck as I don't want to say I hate the word vegetable, but as an invalid. Because that's really what you are. You're an invalid. You can't walk, you can't move, you can't talk. And I keep thinking, what a brutal, brutal way to end your journey here on Earth. I mean, maybe that's rough, but this has been a big learning lesson for me, Sunshine. That is, you got to really go out on your terms and enjoy the ride as best you can without making your final appearance a nasty, uncomfortable, painful, and mind-numbing process. I don't see the logic in it. And I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I got it all wrong, but I've been reading articles over the years how even cancer doctors are saying, if I'm diagnosed with A, B, and C, I understand there's chemo, I understand there's this, that, and the other, but I don't even want to go through that. If I'm, if the person's 70 something, they've lived a good life, they say, I know what it's like to go through that, and I'm just not going to do it because that's going to lead to other health issues, and it's not for me. Well, I guess one never knows until you're there, but this is making me rethink the concept of how valuable is it to fight when what you're left with is just a rotten casserole in front of you. I don't know why I brought up food, but I guess I'm hungry, which I am hungry. I get cranky, I get hangry. I've never heard that word until recently, hangry. I don't get angry, I just get flustered. All right, Sunshine, big love to you. May your therapy be great. So today is the 20th of December. I can't wait to find out when you start hearing these messages or watching these messages, because again, I have no interest in blowing up your phone like I've done in the past. Thank God Mika didn't say anything to me about that, because that was a learning lesson too. It really was. All right, my dear. Big sunshine love to you. I'll check in with you later. Ciao, ciao.